So, good afternoon, everybody. This is the 2024 SFA Con SF Cruise After Action Report, Part 1, with the Cruise Committee, who spent 15 months or so putting this year's convention together. We had a number of people on the Cruise Committee. I see only 3 of us on here right now, so I'll be asking them for their written comments afterwards, but that should hopefully make this go pretty quick. I won't go over all the names on the committee. That will be published in the formal write-up. The purpose of a convention is to afford the SFA membership an opportunity to participate in an annual convention sponsored and hosted by an active chapter and conducted in accordance with Article 11 of the Constitution, to afford all chapter presidents the designated representative opportunity to discuss both old and new business related to the SFA and the National Board of Officers, provide a general membership the opportunity to meet the National Board of Officers, and to provide a place for camaraderie within the SFA. I think we blew that one out of the water and then some. Definitely met the purpose of a convention. There's a few folks in there where they didn't get an opportunity to meet the national board because the national board wasn't all there. And that'll be my first comment back to SFA. Any comments on that first blurb?
None.
Okay. And I'll catch up on my notes later. The AAR will be submitted to the national headquarters within 90 days of the convention termination. No less than 3 copies submitted. Overall attendees, registered attendees, number of rooms booked, hotels, alternate hotels, host chapters, writing to headquarters for a copy of the AAR to assist in future convention planning. A convention checklist is outlined in Appendix 3, and it gives you an AAR format. I already have that blank format ready. I've reviewed past AARs. I've looked at lessons learned from past AARs before we even planned this cruise, and even looked at how they did the AAR after the cruise to put this together. So I have a shell that I will just type as quick as I can on certain numbers. If we don't have the information, especially some of it that I definitely need from you, Kevin, if we don't have the exact numbers, I know we don't have financial numbers yet, but certain numbers, whether you or Carly have them, we'll have to follow up on some of that. So the first one, I know we had 1,055 cabins, and and that could typically support up to what 2,100 people or so. We threw the number out 2,000 all the time is what we were hoping for. Do you know how many attended?
Still don't have the solid number, but it was well, I don't even want to estimate. It was
Okay.
1,600 issues.
That's what
we'll
was
get
my
that.
estimate too. So okay.
Yeah.
We have a due out on that then for our official records. And we got plenty of time. Like I said, 90 days, although this has been a couple weeks. Plenty of time to get that information in. And I believe Carnival will have all that information for us here in the next month or so. Expecting a couple weeks, but maybe the next month. Break even point. Do you have this is for like the bottom line up front. Did we have a pre-planned break-even point? I remember in my notes somewhere we had a certain amount of cabins, not including any getting our deposit back and any onboard sales. What was our break-even point for cabins sold?
Originally, it was about 955, 100 short of full capacity.
Okay.
What benefited us this time is the way we structured pre-registration and even cabin reservation with no no cancellation policy. That allowed us to use cabins that had occupants that didn't join us because of medical reasons, whatever, that got reimbursed through insurance, and we were able to repurpose that cabin for, um, for displaced service members from the MacDill Air Force Base. We added a couple, volunteers, a couple, we had a cancer survivor. So from the standpoint of break even right now, we're still crunching some numbers.
Okay.
I think that we're going to be somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000 plus or minus. What I will say is that, and I knew this going in, that Carnival was a good partner, and they've already expressed interest of making sure that this is as painless as it can be from the financial standpoint for Legacy Initiative, and have already, put an olive branch out to give a significant uh, donation towards a follow-on cruise.
Excellent. So let's say it's a $20,000 loss in the end after all reconciliation is done. They're looking at giving us a donation to come back again as an incentive kind of thing. You don't think they would do a write-off to where we could give them a nonprofit letter for a loss? It was a loss to them, let's say. Is that even the art of possible to like?
Well, I don't want to even enter in that conversation until we know what it
Right,
is.
right.
And again, I mean, we fell short a little bit on like T-shirt orders, but then we have extra items that I'm putting out that will generate some funds. We have the silent auction going, but short answer is if Carnival can do it, they're going to do it for us.
Yeah, right.
So from Legacy Initiatives, and then we just had our board meeting today. Because we haven't done any fundraising, but we have residual income coming from online and brick and mortar sales of the gift store. Nobody has second guessed what the partnership with Chapter 8 and having the SFA Con and the Global Gathering Green Berets. Money well spent, even if we don't break even, and money well spent.
Yeah, the feedback we've heard, yeah, absolutely agree. I do think that we have ways that we may not know in 90 days, but after the silent auctions, after we see what Carnival comes up with, after the silent auctions, after my little uh raffle, Swiftwave chair raffle, which is doing really well. After all future shirt sales and coin sales and stuff that's going in the museum or not museum into the store, that, that that there may be a break even point. It just may be farther down the road.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable that, I mean, if we lose money, it'll be minimal, but and I think everybody has seen the social media just explosion of what a great time everybody had. And again, from our board standpoint, money well spent.
I agree. The one thing that I would like to do, if we are short, is reach out to donors. So we reached out to so many donors, and when I looked at all the past budgets of what the SFA Con got to plan their convention, they got tons, way more than $30,000 between SFA National coughing up their own money for the convention as of like seed money to just donors, and we didn't get that. So, do you think? I think it would be worthwhile to say, hey, at the end, after all reconciliation, before we go public, that we're short $7,000, let's say, whatever that number is, and we're looking for donations to offset that cost because we brought in a lot of free cabins for people that were affected by the hurricane. I mean, what agency out there wouldn't want to donate to us because we hooked up a bunch of people that lost their homes? You know what I'm
No,
saying? It's kind of a way of trying to, break even at least?
Absolutely. And there was hesitancy on some of the nonprofits that typically support the SFA conventions. Just because we were literally in uncharted waters.
Yeah.
Um, and there was hesitancy and reluctance on some of our members of the regiment to fully embrace this.
Right.
We shattered those misconceptions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And again, I think that if we need assistance, we're in a much better position both SFA and legacy initiatives to reach out. But more importantly, of the 1,600 ish on the ship, they're all going back and telling 3 to 5 of their friends, you missed a great time.
Right.
And it is, I won't say our intent. We are definitely going to be in negotiations and discussions about a future cruise. Because, what you talked about earlier about the SFA con, absolutely necessary, especially for a member-based organization of 11,000 plus members to make sure that their voices are heard and they're tied in. But I think what we witnessed, and me personally, that was the best special forces member and family reunion that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
And I say that because, I mean, you go to a lot of conventions, whether it's Soft Week or USAA or SFA cons, and a lot gets done in the 8 to 5. But the after hours, you're in whether it's, Colorado Springs or, Las Vegas or wherever, everybody kind of goes their own way, to a different
Yep.
restaurant or doing different events.
Yep.
And the most the most satisfying feedback that I've heard was every time you walked up and down the ship, you ran into somebody and
Yes.
had another conversation.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't get anywhere on time because I get stopped 20 times on the way there. All right, awesome. So yeah, we'll look at that. And the SFA NBO board just met NBO met yesterday, and I gave a convention update. There wasn't a lot to give other than where our status is right now. But I would be a huge proponent if there was a loss that SFA, I would put in to request to split that with you guys. I know you signed the contract and you took 100% risk, but this was our convention. This was an SFA act, and we've lost money before, and it would be less impact to both organizations if we split that in half, and or we partner to get additional, continue to try to get donations to cover that loss, because I really want it to be zero. Well, I really wanted to make money on it, even
Yeah,
though that's not the goal, but it's nice to have a little bit of money to say, hey, it was successful. We even made money on it to help give seed money for down the road type of thing.
yeah, and I agree with you. I think first of all, let's let the chips fall, see what
Yeah,
we owe
yeah,
or we don't owe. Um, I'm and you're well aware. I mean, hesitant, and the board hesitant to put any burden on the SFA just because of some preconceived notions from Bass. But
they've
again,
all heard
if
the
it's a
stories too. Yeah,
yeah, and again, it the optics. I mean, I think again, our board's very happy with the outcome. If it's a significant, then maybe we could talk about, both of us going, hitting the streets and trying to get donations. But as far as taking monies from the SFA, membership dues or donations, I don't see us, asking that. But again, partnering with the silent auction, partnering with future donations, maybe that's something we can discuss.
okay. Yeah, because I don't know how many silent auction items you guys have versus us. I think you have the higher dollar, better ones than we do. Okay. Task organization. So we had a committee of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 people. We had a couple people come to a meeting once. I deleted them off they weren't there. It was Pete Tingstrom, Mike Hurst, Kevin Harry, Chris Bell, Carly Hurst, Bonnie Cooper, Pete Lowell, Phil Grounds, Pam Wolf, Danny Polly, and Jerry and Joyce Mallory, and even Danny, Pam, uh, didn't come to everything, and then Carly also, but she was busy working the whole time, so she definitely has a pass. Um, so the committee was large enough, but what I didn't have was the assignments. My goal was to not do everything myself, which it felt like I did a lot of that, because I wanted a go-to person for the Gold Star event, a go-to person for the motorcycle ride. Okay, that one worked. A go-to person for the banquet. That sort of worked. But anyway, one person for every event, the author event, every symposium, everything that we did. And it wasn't quite all there. We did have Pete for secure. We had different people for specific functions, but it could have I could have had a few more folks in there, especially uh, the importance of local, because SFA is looking at going. Oh, I lost Kevin. No, he's here. To the planning it from Hawaii and being an international committee, if you will, there was definitely things you had to have a local point of contact on the ground to do. And so thankful that at least four of those individuals lived in that area. Let's see, Joyce, Danny, Pam, and Pete, and Chris. So yeah, we actually had about six people in the area. So that was a sustain because it's going to take both an international board or a national board or a committee, I should say, not a board, a national committee and a local connections type committee. Fundraising, we kind of already hit that. Uh, you know, I know on the SFA side, our fundraising sucked big time. We had $600 from an SFA standpoint, uh, hardly anything. I don't know SFLI and it's none of my business, but that's something that we may be continuing to do based on the feedback. Marketing. I think we marketed that. I don't think we could have marketed any better. I read the stuff online. You should have someone that's actually a marketer. Uh, I do that with my business, and so between LinkedIn, Facebook, 10 different SF sites, which I will list in the AAR, uh, reaching out to the American Legion, VFW, Together We Served, Stars and Stripes, USASOC, SOCOM, SWIC, SF Command. I mean, you name it, we reached out and marketed the shit of this event over the year planning up to it, to where probably people were tired of hearing about it. And most of the time I try to ask people, how did you hear about it? So we got feedback on what was working and what wasn't. Most people had heard about it, they just couldn't commit to it. There were a few outliers because every time I met a Green Beret over the last year, I asked them if they're a member of SFA and I asked them if they heard about the cruise. And there's only a couple of them that hadn't. And I'm like, well, shit, where have you been? I guess you're not on Facebook and you're not, uh, on some of these sites.
Yeah.
Any feedback on marketing?
Hey, Pete, and I agree. I mean, we kind of, you know, flooded the zone with everything that we had. Again, I think it goes back to some reluctance and some, stereotyping that, it's a cruise and it's not going to be fun. I think future events, especially with the not necessarily, and again, I talked to Chris Wilkerson. Reunions and SFA conventions are two different things.
Yeah.
Most of the time, or a lot of times, they're in conjunction. But I think what we learned is, I mean, there's been people excited about Colorado Springs and West Virginia and, and other locations, but um, there's a different uh, excitement about reunions, and so I think we hit a home run because the by with and through the those people on that cruise are literally going to tell everyone, and I I'm sure you've had the same conversations. People are kicking themselves in the butt for not going on this one.
Right.
So I think we did a good job. There was some hesitancy, and I don't think we'll have that same hesitancy going forward.
I don't, I don't either. That's the marketing. Committee communication and document management. So we did an IPR initially every month, starting out, and then a little bit closer at the end. I use Google Documents, where I've been uploading all the pictures and videos and all these AARs, uh, all of our IPRs, going back 34 IPRs are all on that, and then I would share that document at the end of the meeting with everybody. As we got closer to the cruise, I don't think everyone read it. We get a little overwhelmed there near the end. Any questions or issues with the way the committee communications and document management went?
I think it was
No,
excellent.
I think, I think you used your resources as the best that best you could have, and the information is out there. Just the committees and even just the participants in the cruise. They just had to kind of take the time to review them.
Have you seen any other SFACon in the past use a functional email account like I did with the Special Forces 2024 cruise at Gmail, or were most of them using by that chapter functional or an individual name?
I mean, I've seen basic kind of groups, but again, you went out with chapter 8 and some assistance from maybe chapter 60, and but it was committees. When I ran the convention in West Virginia, you know we talked about it at a chapter meeting where everybody was there. We didn't you didn't have that luxury, so I think you again you use the tools available to you, and uh, you know made good use of everybody's time.
Okay. Convention branding. Uh, I saw in AERs in the past come at least 9 months out and stick with it. I know our logo changed slightly, but I think our branding was there. The Global Gathering Green Berets, honest chartered ship, 2024 in the Bahamas. Uh, I think the branding itself was out early enough and was sufficient. Any thoughts on that?
That was good.
Okay. Okay, the risk, SFA cons typically a quarter to $500,000 operation with various risks. In the past, they talked about considering an LLC. Well, wasn't a problem this time. SFLI, a 501c3, took 100% of the risk off this convention, or this, SFA con, if you will. Any comments there? Okay, so I must have hit it, the risk. Okay, fundraising, we talked about that earlier on. Legal and contracts. Contracts with vendors, contracts with the clauses, wording allows for adjustment of numbers and situation changes, deposits, recover money if one or the other failed to perform. I know, Kevin, you're going through that from an SFLI standpoint. And from my standpoint, whether it was a restaurant, whether it was a bar, whether it was a hotel, pretty much everything I did, I signed contracts, but I had no liability whatsoever. So it worked out perfect for me to not worry about any changes. I haven't heard a single story of anybody. In fact, all these managers bent over backwards. We kind of got concerned with the hurricanes that they'd have to put a bunch of displaced people and they're going to kick us out kind of thing. But I kept telling people, no, if you got reservations, you got a reservation. Now, some of you guys that waited to the last minute to come, you may not get it from our rate. But in every case, they gave us our rate even past the extension point because of our relationship with them. They loved us and our people that were in each of the hotels, which was a really, I guess, kind of lucky. The same kind of feedback we got from the ship, that the ship, this was the favorite charter, the most respectful, great people they've ever worked with or supported. Do you have anything you want to hold off on, any legal contract type stuff until the dust settles at your end, Kevin?
No, I mean, we were just over a year old, Legacy Initiatives. We had $30,000 in the bank, and we signed a $1.7 million contract. I did that, knowing, I mean, the board looked at, all the factors, a lot of discussions with chapters that had done small cruises in the past. Um, and life is a risk. What I'll say that is a challenge probably going forward, if there's a centralized, SFA con committee at the headquarters, those relationships, and I mean, you got to put a lot of time and effort, and that's where chapters that run them in their own backyard. When I did, in West Virginia, yeah, we fell short on one contract, but they didn't penalize us.
Right.
You got to have those relationships, and that's again, I didn't sign a contract with Carnival because I thought they would write something off. I signed a contract with Carnival because they're very family friendly and military friendly.
Yeah.
Knowing that, as long as we put forth our best, effort, they would put forth theirs. And so that, like I said, you and some of the committee, worked through some of the issues with the hotels contracts and the hurricanes, and and you know firsthand that it takes time, and that is a concern of mine. If you decentralize or you centralize the SFA con at headquarters and don't have really complete buy-in from the chapters.
Yeah. And we discussed that a little bit in the board yesterday as well. Uh, I see the intent that they're going, but I think it's going to be a massage thing to where you're going to have a national committee that's a standing committee, and you'll have that continuity from year to year for however long they want to be on that committee, and you'll always have the local chapter type stuff. And even though he's planning on swapping to different headquarters, uh, I think already he's talking about doing a cruise in 4 years from now, for that SFA con in 2028. I think if a chapter, say Hawaii, my chapter grows, I get a bunch of active folks and great relationships here. Like, hey, let me do one in Hawaii. I know it's not a flagpole, but I got a sock pack. I got a theater uh, special operations command here. It'd be kind of cool to see all the history and the things here in Hawaii. That I don't think a board or a committee would turn something like that down if it wasn't a major annual year. Uh, so anyway, I think they'll be pretty.
Yeah, and that's why I do think. I mean, you go back 5 or 6 years. We didn't have a website, we didn't have a Facebook page, we didn't have a lot of things. Having a registration software, that's managed by national. I think all those things are important,
Yeah.
but and probably Bonnie Cooper is one of the best ones to tell you that you got to, the committees are going to, at the national level, and then with the chapters, you got to have the right people on those committees.
Yeah.
What can't happen, well, which will make things very difficult, is if you get 6 volunteer national board officers that try to manage a convention in different locations.
Yeah.
So I absolutely agree that national can and should support chapters more, by building out, some resources there, committees, and then, and also having that, when a chapter does stand up, a pretty consistent communications so that the chapters know that they have support where they need it. I mean, I tried to do the best I can, in my 4 years, but hey, you got one person who's got other commitments, you got a chapter president or, chairman who's got other commitments, and tying in times and
Yeah.
everything's always challenging. So, I mean, I think it's just, we got to look at it and see, what's worked well in the past, where can national, tie in and continue to have great conventions.
Yep. Next one's lodging. Obviously, we had lodging before and after the cruise for those who stayed around in Tampa or came early before the cruise, and then we had lodging on the ship. That ship thing was a no-brainer. Maybe Carly can give a better report if people had issues with their rooms and moving rooms if there were issues. I haven't heard. In fact, I had a guy that didn't have lodging at all, and I was able to get him in, and he was really thankful with our rate when all the hotels were overbooked. Um, so I don't know of any negative issues on the lodging side. Do you have any on that?
No, I mean, there was two cabins that ended up with water damage caused by, the ship itself. One was easily moved to another, category, same category. The other one was moved to, I think they had an aft cabin, aft balcony, moved to a regular balcony, and Carnival, gave them a $500, room credit.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, there was some movement around, but not much. And I think everybody was, pleased with the outcomes.
Yeah. Okay. In the ARs, I've seen things about wives and widows and events for them. I think this over most SFA cons. We deliberately looked at this, and we could include kids because at most SFA cons you don't see any kids at the convention. This particular convention, you had everything, and there was something for people to do all day long, all night long, pretty much around the clock. I don't think we have to really beat that one at all. That one's a no-brainer. Medal of Honor recipients, I was really kind of bummed out with the Medal of Honor Society and with the number of SF guys that we have. I know we had one signed up and then he fell through. But that would have been a nice thing to have on our cruise with us. Some of those guys. See. Yeah, considerations for elderly and disabled. Same thing as the spouses. There was I don't know if we had a shortage if people didn't get in their request in time, if they were certain handicapped. I know we even had a service dog on board. So pretty much anyone that had an issue, we had considerations and the capability with this particular convention to work those out. Okay, online registration. That's really two parts because this one had a registration and a cruise registration. We had a pre-registration. So how do you think, because Kevin, you're the one that managed the pre-registration. How do you think that went and any lessons learned for you?
Um,
Well, I know you said you had a new management software.
yeah, no, it was a painful necessity to do it the way we did. Again, I spoke that we didn't have the money for $150,000 down payment. We had interest, so we had to do the pre-registration. Pre-registration served two purposes. One showed the level of interest, people ready to put money down. It allowed us to start looking at what kind of cabin preferences they had. but most importantly, it let us raise $150,000 in about 45 days, which got us to the, being able to sign a contract. Going through a third party, Carly Hurst / World Travel Holdings, again, necessary evil. We're all volunteers, and we didn't have the 10% that would have cost the contract through World Travel Holdings. Carly donated her time and efforts, and I will say that I'm probably the one that spent the second most time with Carly,
Yeah.
minus her husband Mike, because we from May
Right.
of 2023 through about 2 weeks ago, we were talking constantly.
Yeah.
Now that's again, it was out of necessity. I think because of the interest, we would have more likelihood of having some sponsors, having people step up and either provide names and contacts for sponsors, or a lot of successful Green Berets might sponsor themselves, or be sponsors themselves, and that would eliminate that. And then traditional charters, you would go straight through and not go through the pre-registration. So I we should be in a position for a future cruise to not do that two-step process.
Okay.
And still be able to collect, the one thing, the pre-registration, it allowed us to do the down payment, but once we started getting payments on cabins, then the money was available for us to make it the Special Forces unique cruises with the swag and the
Right.
signage and things like that. So I going forward, we'll go a more traditional route with a third party. I don't think it's Carnival, but I think it's a third party where basically we'll announce it and everybody will deal directly through a website to make their reservations and payments and everything else, not having to deal with calling me about registration or pre-registration, and calling Carly about reservations.
Oh yeah.
Over.
No, I think all three of us, we spent a whole year just answering emails and phones, and a lot of it, yeah, it wasted a lot of our time because of the antiquated system, but it is what it is, like you said. And it was just a few of us that had to deal with that. Okay, cleanup. How did it go with setting up the ship and then tearing down the ship with things that the team for the cleanup or setup? Any issues with what you did there?
No, and again, I mean, I can't speak highly enough of the Carnival crew. They let us know what the parameters of getting items on, either the pre-sale, the sale before, or the morning of our sailing. We had people that we communicated a plan, and then we had someone on the ship just to make sure that their staff executed executed the plan as discussed. And then the breakdown, again, other than me having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to retrieve certain things, they packed everything up. We put it on pallets, or not pallets, but carts. And I went and had breakfast and got off the ship very leisurely. And when I got out there, there's 2 cages full of
All of our
SFA
stuff.
/
That's freaking
SFLI
awesome.
stuff, and I threw it in the back of my truck, and we were gone.
Oh, that's awesome, because at a typical convention, we're the ones pulling all that stuff down, and yeah, that's awesome. Community outreach, the local cities bureau, Chamber of Commerce. We did reach out, both of that on the security side and for things to do, to give our guys, letting them know what they could do before and after the cruise and what Tampa offered. I'll figure out what the final numbers were that went to Ybor City, but we had a big group go there after the cruise. Okay, registration. we really didn't have to do a registration. And we're talking like, when you typically set up a table and people show up at the convention, we really didn't have to do that because everyone registered in advance and they got their stuff and Carnival got them on the boat. So that was kind of a plus ease. If they pre-registered and was fully reserved cabins, we didn't have to worry about registration itself. One thing that I think I heard a lot of people mention was name tags. Uh, typically when you go through reservation, you get a name tag. We think, oh, we don't need that because we know everyone is on the boat is vetted. You don't need to check their ID to come into a symposium or whatever. But it wasn't really for that purpose. It was a face with a name because people's hair and body changes over time and the color of it changes. And I had a lot of people come up to me asking me why we didn't have name tags. So that's something I think I kind of would do over again, even though we had lanyards and the ability to put your sale card in there that's got your name, but it's so small, hard to read. So something more official. Any comments on that?
No, I agree with you, and I think one of the discussions we've had is I wasn't a big fan of the name tags just because, well, heck, I mean, you're the national president was running around shirtless for a while, but I think what we can do is very similar to the sale and sign card,
Yeah.
make another, card that clips on that just has a larger font of each person's name.
Yeah.
And
Kind of like you
that
did
would,
on those reunions where you had those ribbons. Remember ribbons like Life Member? Or maybe that's a different
yeah,
organization that I've been to.
yeah, no, but
Uh,
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, sometimes you're like, staring at their, cleavage if there's female, just to see what their name was.
yeah. Yep. Okay.
But that's I do think we would look at that. It was definitely a bridge too far for this one because of
Yeah.
the amount of turnover,
Yeah.
a lot of cancellations,
Yeah.
a lot of late additions. But I think we'll have a plan for the next one.
Okay. Programs and brochures. I think we gave everybody a list of all activities by day, and I stressed to all of them everywhere I produced it, print a copy of this one and bring it with you, especially for the first day, because Carnival's not, you're not going to get the Carnival one until, the day after you get, the night you get on the ship for that following day. And a lot of people, it seemed like there was confusion out there because people had printed one that was like a week old and didn't have the latest greatest. So they were going to the wrong place. And there's some confusion on there. Carnival did a great job putting together, obviously, their fun sale or their fun times printout. A couple of hiccups in there, the way they had to redo it, or it wasn't there at night for when they first came out in the morning. And then they had extras there. Anyone at any time could go to guest services to get one. But the one thing that was missing that really confused people, and it was because of space, but we could have made the workout of the day smaller font in order to put the times of the pictures in each individual group. All it had was the start time and the end time, and some of those lasted an hour and a half to 2 hours. And which group was going in what sequence, that wasn't on that schedule. I had it, but that was confusion. So we talked about, maybe putting up an easel or something in the lobby with it. And we never did get around to that. But any feedback you hear on those topics?
Yeah, I don't know if the fun times was the answer for that because there was so many. I mean, like after the veterans appreciation or military appreciation, there was okay, hey, seventh group and third group. I mean, there was so much that was kind of on the fly. I do think, yeah, we can definitely look at how to, organize that a little better. But I mean, and that again, it goes back to a testament that was a great reunion because I think seventh group had, probably 27 group photos in 5
Yeah,
days.
they did. Yeah. Yeah, the thing that got really confusing for people is they were using and we knew this from a planning committee. But we told people, but there's so much information overload, they didn't capture everything we said. The Carnival Hub app on the phone on the ship schedule, they couldn't put the SF stuff because it affected the rest of the fleet. And so we told people that, hey, that's a great little app to set up your schedule for your carnival activities, but not the SF one. You have to go to the Fun Times printout every day to look at all of our specific events side by side with carnivals so you can plan out your day. And it's just I ran into a lot of that kind of confusion on the boat.
And I think lesson learned on that is maybe we identify a couple TVs throughout the ship that just have SFA events on it. And then that way, because again, you're not going to be able to put everything on the Fun Times. You're not going to be able to, make sure that, everything's, just like when you go to the convention. I mean, there's always a whiteboard
Yeah.
or some kind of, information board.
Changes,
And I think
reminders.
that, we could have, put even just a PowerPoint or a Word document that stayed on,
Yeah.
in the Rex Lounge, the Green Beret Club, and at down there by the where we were setting up, T-shirts. We could add
Yeah.
some kind of signage that kept people up to date on just SFA
Yeah,
events.
I could have even put a big chart paper there next to the board, next to the "Hey, welcome Green Berets" by the guest services, because my schedule didn't change at all for the entire thing. Yeah, there's a few people that added a couple extra things. Hey, let's go to the Green Beret Club, but the picture times and all of that didn't change. Just what got screwed up is Carnival when they were taking pictures the first day. Some of the seventh group guys went up there, and it wasn't their photo day. So that's why they did an extra one on the stage. When I said, "Hey, well, you guys that missed this, here's an opportunity to do it." Okay, next one. Guys are starting to show up here for the next one. Uh, Polling. I think a sustain on polling because I never received a poll in the past about what do I like or not like, or what would I attend if I was given these options. And I think that helped with the participation of people that got dressed up for some of the theme nights. It helped the attendance at the symposiums uh, to know the size of the room needed because of the amount of people that express interest in it. So I think that's a sustain. Um, the one thing that I failed to do, and I need to make sure I write this down, is parking it right way. When I did my poll, we did very few things that we had made people register for. When I did the poll for how many people were driving down to Florida versus flying, it was half. And then when you look at half of the people on the ship, if there's 1,600 people coming, half of those is 800. And then, all right, some of those are 3 or 4 per car, some are 2 per car. You're still looking at a lot of cars parking in the parking lot. And then some of them stayed at the hotels, some of them stayed with friends. And so I worked it out with Right Way Parking with no contract to block off parking for us. And they were doing a cash only discount, like 50% off. And we only had 47 or so cars out of expected like 400 parked there. And they lost a lot of money that day. So I'm still working that with a lawyer and our finance team to write them a tax some paperwork for that to kind of cover them. But that was a big black eye for us with them to not want to support us again because of that loss. But then even the use of the polling was good, just the participation kind of sucked because not everyone reads their emails, not everyone goes to the Facebook site. So we hit it all up to try to get people to give us the best chance, and so we did the best we could. Photographer, designated convention photographer, and how to get the photos to capture historical labeling and distribution. I have that set up already. I had it set up during the cruise that anyone can add things to a particular link. What I didn't do good enough is, maybe have a board and post it, hey, QR code, upload everything to here every day rather than sending them a QR code at the end where I still have people daily clicking on the links and either looking at them or adding pictures to them. And then obviously this one was great because people could enjoy their vacation, and Carnival had all those professional photographers. And if we had enough money, we could have purchased like the best group photo of everyone or all the significant events of some of the pictures that they took, and then tell people, hey, you don't have to buy these. We're gonna take care and make sure you guys get a copy. But I think photography, there's plenty of pictures and video come out of that thing and posted to Facebook
Oh,
daily.
salmon? No.
Okay. The banquet script, I'll cover that later with that was kind of put together at the last minute with the banquet team. There were some things that were left back that were part of the banquet. And then of course this was not your typical one where we had to do half of it in a theater and then the other half, no, not the other half, the other 10% of it in the dining room. Vendor room, that we probably could have had a little bit better plan. The Green Beret Marketplace, I mean, we had a place for them, but there weren't set times. And I did that deliberately because I wanted the individuals to kind of pick what they wanted to attend so they could enjoy the cruise and the vacation, but then go in the central, Green Beret Central there on the promenade deck outside Rex and that whole corridor where anybody at any time could, set up one of their things to do it. But if I had to do it over again, I would probably had some deliberate times for all of those entities to set their stuff up, and then people come and shop during those times. And those were the big ones from the big moving pieces. I'm adding a section, obviously, all the symposiums and the presentations and my head count to all those events, the equipment and customs and swag bag. That's another topic. We had the plan for the swag bags of what was going in them, but some of the items didn't get done in time to get to the bags for stuffing. And so we distributed some of them. Some of the bags had extra koozies, some had no koozies. We ran out of certain sizes, but that's because we had a bunch of changes of people that people canceled, but we had their t-shirt size on file, but the next person that filled their slot weren't that same size, and there was nowhere near enough time to get those size t-shirts. And for all the late additions for the people that were comped that lost their homes and were doing hurricane relief and those type of folks, there's no way to get them a t-shirt in time. So I know it's a lot of work for you right now with your checklist to ensure everyone gets a coin, everyone gets a t-shirt, and they're getting it shipped to their address through Red 7Ts. But that, yeah, we kind of missed the window on that because it would have been a whole lot smoother and easy on all of us had we backed that up another 2 or 3 weeks. But some of it we still couldn't do anything about. Any feedback on that? Because yeah, you're a big piece of that swag bag.
Yeah, I mean, the swag bag. I mean, it didn't help that we had 2 hurricanes back to back.
Yeah.
We should have put a little more buffer in there. But at the end of the day, I mean, we'll get everybody what we can, and but it just I don't think anybody's concerned over they're not going to say that their happiness on that cruise hinges on whether they get a t-shirt or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and the one thing that people, as people were posting signs on Facebook, oh, I didn't get that coin. Oh, I didn't get that t-shirt. I didn't get that koozie. I didn't get those flags. I saw all kinds of comments about it. To know what's in there, because I didn't really put something out. Hey, you're gonna get a coin, you're gonna get a tumbler, you're gonna get a t-shirt, you're gonna get the backpack, you're gonna get a Sentinel magazine, you're gonna get a koozie from the SFPMC, you're gonna get a Green Beret Foundation flyer or a memorial info paper or whatever. to make sure that they got what they got. And then there was some confusion on the ship too for the opening and closing hours for the people to collect what sizes were still available there in the atrium. But we did what we could do. Silent auction. That is what is that going to kick off, you think?
I'm out here in Vegas right now, and I'm going to meet with Alex and try to get everything lined up so that it's you can go to one link and look at all the items and make bids. So hopefully next week.
Okay, next week we can make that announcement. And
Pete?
do you need anything else from me on that? Obviously,
Pete,
yeah.
sorry about dropping all those plaques off for you. I wanted to let them know these were from the widows and the children of SF guys that had passed, and they want them to go
Yeah.
back
Oh, yeah,
to the
that's perfectly
organization.
fine. No, I loved what you did, Joe. It's re-gifting it to someone that's going to appreciate it. And I know a bunch of guys out here that their family's not interested in their items, and so they're pawning them off. And what better way than to make money back for the SFA? So no, I love what you did. So
Okay.
that's going to go live next week. Pros and cons to that. Obviously, if this was a convention, you'd want to do the silent auction at the convention and they walk home with the item. We're going to be able to raise more money this way by opening up to everybody that wasn't on the ship as well and members of SFA. So yeah, good and bad to that. And I'll see what people think about it. And then the raffle, the silent raffle, or the raffle's ongoing right now. That ends tomorrow night. And that will be announced on Saturday. And let's see. We start the next one here in about 3 minutes. Kevin, any other comments or folks that were on the committee?
No, I mean, I appreciate all the hard work from everybody, and again, a testament to everybody's effort, which made this extremely successful event.
Let's see. Mallory and the Joyce family.
You
Sharon?
did a great job. We're very proud to have been a part of it. Thank you, Pete, for the good work. And you too, Kevin.
Hey, Pete.
Yeah,
Actually, a question for both of you.
sure.
I don't want a monetary figure. I'd like to know if there was a deficit or an income to the organization.
Yeah, we'll
are
make
now.
an announcement on that when we have the final numbers.
Yeah.
It takes Carnival a while to reconcile everything that they're doing. Some of the people that got their bills after they got home and they're like, hey, what's this charge? So people are still going through all of that. We have our silent auction that's getting ready to kick off next week. So it's going to be about 3 weeks or so before we know those numbers.
I wasn't looking for a number. I was looking for a positive or a negative.
Oh, yeah, we don't know yet. It's going to be close. Like the election. No,
Yeah.
hopefully it's not close. Hopefully
Hey.
it's a positive story. But like if some of you got here before Kevin made a comment that, even if SFLI loses a little bit of money, this was a huge success with the feedback and what people got out of the convention. And then we also talked about potentially, we donate a lot of stuff at no charge to help the community at SOCOM and Tampa and people that lost that, could have paid for cabins but didn't and donated them to where, we may, continue to ask for a few donations here or there. But we're going to wait to see what Carnival comes back with.
Pete, next time you do this, we need a little bit more organization to the t-shirts. I was down there 3 days handing out t-shirts and it was kind of, hit and miss. So it was fine and everybody was happy. And as a matter of fact, they came in and asked us, do you know where such and such, do you know such and such? We were kind of the sounding board and the information center for some of those people. So you can tie that in also with people, So anyway, it was a great cruise and we thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much for all your work.
Yeah, thanks for being part of the committee.
We enjoyed it.
On the
Thank you.
committee here. Looks like he dropped off. because he didn't go on the cruise. Right. Well, that's the end of that meeting. So we'll kick off this next one now. AAR. Cruise comments. And I'll just keep recording. So, hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for providing some input. I had a lot of people email me some input, so we'll have some smaller numbers on this call for formal input into the AAR for whether it's something that you learned or information you didn't get pre-planning that you wish that you would have received, or the execution of the cruise itself once you got to Tampa, that you knew what was going on and where to go and to get on the cruise, and activities on the cruise and post-cruise. So we'll kind of cover it that way. I just got done with a 1 hour AAR with the cruise committee, with the folks behind the scenes that planned this whole thing for the last 15, 16 months. And so over to you guys here. So the purpose of our convention every year, I'm not going to read it. We have a constitution that says that we're going to do this. This was a convention and a reunion tied into one. And it had more participation than any other one that I've heard of when I looked at all the past AARs. It had the most positive comments I've heard or seen from any convention. We had a number of people that had never been on a cruise ship before, so that caused a lot of the issues before going on the cruise, because we had to answer a lot of questions, Kevin, Carly, and myself, that were cruise related, and not everybody, because we did get a lot of the older clientele or people that just don't read emails or don't get emails or attend Q&As or go to a website to look at information, and they're most certainly not part of a Facebook group. We were challenged with a lot of folks to kind of help them get ready for the cruise and even while on the cruise. But the bottom line, for the purpose of the convention, we met it. It was a place for camaraderie. It was a place for the membership to meet the national board. It was a place for people to discuss old and new business with the association. And it was just an overall, fantastic event for the purpose of it. And then we're required within 90 days of a convention to do an AAR. And so I'm doing that with you here tonight to take a look at, I'll be putting a written format back into National. And these comments that you guys are about to make, and the ones that already sent me information, will help streamline and learn how to do these in the future. Okay, second here. Yeah, here. Okay. So it's to make it better in the future, because based on the feedback on this, people are ready to go next year and get back on another ship. And so as you saw, for those that are on Facebook, Kevin is looking at a 2026 gathering, not an SFA con, not a convention, but an SF gathering of some type, reunion. And then SFA is considering in 2028, in 4 years from now. This was more so popular, looking at doing a cruise down the road. So based on that, the lessons that we learned on this one will most certainly help the next committees on how they can increase it and get better. All right. Okay. So with that, I'm not going to throw up a topic. If it gets really quiet out there, I'll come up with a topic to spawn your thoughts on topics, and see what you guys have to say. Or do you think it would be better for me to give you a topic and then everyone start throwing down on that topic? Joe, any thoughts?
How many
I
people
just
are there?
unmuted. I sent you a message, Pete.
Yeah, that's the sponsors. Yeah.
I think one of the problems that we may have done is that we do have a lot of same contacts, a lot of people we know, uh, and if this contact that we want sponsor, if several people are reaching them and sending them emails and hey, sponsor me, they may get inundated and say, look, I don't want to deal with another 500 people calling me. But I
Yes.
think if we had central control that said, hey, Pete, I want to contact these 20 people, I sent out 1,000 contacts. I made 1,000 contacts.
Yep.
Okay. And of that, I told them all to contact you. I'm assuming some people made contact with you.
Did
I know.
you did you not get the sheet? So I only had three people really working the sponsors. I had myself, you, and Pete Lowell. And so I gave him a list when I started getting so busy. I gave him a list of all these Fortune 500 companies and whatnot to contact. Did I not give you that list to say, hey, we already working on these ones? Work
No.
because you had an exhaustive list yourself.
Yeah. I sent a spreadsheet of who and when and how I contacted and which were dead contacts, you
Okay.
know. And I just waited a month and then went back in and see who would respond. Of that, I got a couple back. Responded to me, and I've sent those to you. But I think we need, as we're just discussing here,
I agree.
we did miss the boat by, I think, overworking the system
Yes.
without central control.
Yep. No, that's a great point. That was number 8 on my list. So I think it might be easy for me just to go down my list and then let people raise your hand or something on the screen. So then I can call you for that. So fundraising, we kind of talked about fundraising slash sponsors. We had a lot less than we typically do for a convention, even though I thought this was a really exciting event to do. Now, Gary Sinise Foundation, they did donate a lot to get that band to our sail away party and stuff like that, but it wasn't like donation dollars to us for us to use and then manage how we wanted to manage it. Anyone else have any thoughts on donations and fundraising?
I'm back, Pete.
Okay, Joe?
I don't know how this is going to shake out, but I went on GoFundMe. There were about 1,200 people saying, GoFundMe, Special Forces, we got some activities. We want you to give me money so I can send it to SFA. So GoFundMe has got SFA, 1,200 people in there saying, send me money and I'll send it to SFA. I looked at some of those names. I don't think they're legit. I think they're just using
Oh,
our moniker.
oh yeah. I haven't looked into that. Do you have a link to that particular one you could send me?
No, it's just go to the website.
Okay, all
Uh,
right. I'll look into that.
GoFundMe.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely a false fake thing that people are taking advantage of us and they think they're donating to us and they're not. Oh my gosh. That sucks. I don't know
Sad.
how you stop that other than someone uh researching that kind of thing and then tell them, report them as a false entity because we did not, we being the national committee did not do that and have not heard any member do that. So appreciate you bringing that up. Okay, anyone marketing? So anyone on this call that
Hey, Pete.
didn't know? Yes, Ed.
Yeah. We tried to find a Medal of Honor family or a Gold Star family, and we finally got one. And then he backed out at the last minute. But we were actually trying to find like another one. I'd reached out to one MOH, and he had passed away, so that was my bad. And we reached out to
Mm,
Colonel Donlin to see if he would go. I would love to have met him again since I met him once before. And I used all my contact numbers and phone numbers and emails, and I never got a response. And then he passed away shortly thereafter. I started reaching out for him.
right.
I
And
think
I would
that
have loved to have the wife and family come. I mean,
I know.
this was such a unique visit because we did pay, Fred Rice paid honor to to the family, and they would have had a great time on this trip.
Yeah, we looked hard. We ended up with a guy whose son was a SEAL. He's actually in our chapter, but I haven't seen him at a meeting ever. But he supposedly had joined and is in the chapter. But at the last minute, he canceled on us because of the storms. His wife was too afraid to go out on the ship, and the two hurricanes, and there was a gas crisis and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So he backed out on us, and whatever. We lost the money, but it helped hopefully cover some cost and stuff. So
Yeah. No, appreciate it, Ed.
and so I was gonna say one thing because I jumped in a few minutes late. I'm sorry, but on the parking, I don't know if you know, but like I said, I was coming to parking, but anybody in Florida who has a disabled veterans tag doesn't pay for parking.
Right.
So anybody who parked there in the terminal lot doesn't pay. So I don't know how
Right.
many people did or didn't, but I don't know if that was part of your overflow lot that you
No,
scheduled.
that was part of the initial plan was for people that had from Florida that had DAV, they could park for disabled vet plates could park there for free.
Yeah,
Now our plan was anyone that wasn't leaving a car at a hotel based on the hotel rates, that
right,
their the best rate was at right way parking.
right.
And we didn't have very many people take us up on that.
Yeah, I think I might have screwed up in that because I saw parking and I don't know if it was for at the terminal or right way or whatever, but I put I was parking, but I knew I would park for free at
Right.
the terminal parking.
Okay.
But I want to thank you guys. You did a great job. You excellent, great job. Everything else. If I can just throw in one more comment, I think timing somehow we always seem to interfere with like fifth group one year or 10th group another year when they were having some of their events. This year you had the SOA conference in Vegas, and it was right before this one. So I think if we could maybe look at a little better timing gap. So
Yeah,
that
that's something we did look at. I went to the entire SOA conference, by the way.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was a little tired when I got to Tampa. Being in charge of
yeah,
this whole thing is still organizing stuff and working both here hurricanes, attending the conference and coming on the ship. Uh, they do theirs the third week of October every year. We reached
exactly.
out to them way more than a year out in advance, uh, about them. Hey, come on, come do your reunion on the ship. We reached out to every SF group. Come do your reunion on the ship. The 10th guys, they're doing Return to Devons the same week as our cruise. And we're like, why are you guys doing this? Is this tied to a special event or something? And they continued moving forward with their Return to Devons reunion just
Mhm.
because they wanted to, even though there was nothing significant about those dates. We, unfortunately, were stuck with Carnival. This is the only date over a year and a half out that Carnival would give us. So we had to have that date. There was nothing we could do about it. But yeah, to your point, that's why we've been trying to stress to our SFA members, if you know about an activity, a group reunion or anything, throw that on the SFA event calendar so we deconflict and we're not putting it during Legion Week and we're not doing certain things. Now, next year, just to let you know, SFA is looking at co-mingling with this SOAR
Mhm.
with about a day overlap. When we did it 3 years ago, they did their event, then we did our event, and then members of both organizations had to stay there a long time. Well, that's a no-go. So we're going to overlap it a bit to where they do their heavy registration one day, then we're going to do our heavy registration. Some of the symposiums, both parts are interested in. Same thing with hospitality suites and everything. We're able to share a lot of that. And there may not be enough hotel rooms. We may have to find another hotel as well with transportation to get there. But anyway, we're looking at it behind the scenes on how best we can deconflict, especially with such short notice for next year.
All right. No, I'm just putting that out because I know other events have, conflicted. And I know fifth group was like, we had our thing scheduled first a couple of years ago and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
and I was in Vegas for last time when, and I'm going to, they were kind of a little bit pricks because I was there a day early and no, you can't come into the trinket room and no, you can't come to our hospitality room. So make sure that gets
Yeah.
worked out because from my
Oh, yeah.
experience, I was there a day early, and it was like, no, you can't come in. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
that was, so.
Yep. No, absolutely.
And then the only thing I would say, and I'm not writing AAR. I'm sorry, I'm busy running between two houses, and my house in Lake Wales, my screen patio got taken down by Milton, and part of my little roof is messed up. So I'm a little bit busy running back and forth right now. But the thing I would say is that if we can do two things at one time, just make sure that we can go do those things. And on the ship, I found was I wanted to go to some of the symposiums, but they were on when we were doing tours on the island and stuff like that. My brother went diving, so he missed that whole day when we were in port, and some of the
Yeah.
symposiums were going on, and
Okay.
you either picked your dive trip or you went to a symposium. So that I saw was a little
Yeah.
bit.
No, that's a great point. The original plan had no overlap. We weren't doing anything while people were in port, and I wasn't doing anything in the evenings during the shows and the entertainment and all the fun. From dinner on, I had nothing planned, and
Mhm.
during the ports, I had nothing planned. But that changed because of the availability of some of the locations on the
Mhm.
ship, and to get as many things in as we can. Otherwise, we would have to cancel some of them. And when
Right.
I did, we pre-did the cruise poll. Um, I guess one thing I could have done is have people register for it, even though they're not paying for it, type of thing, that they actually register to go. So I know exactly how many are coming to it, because that was kind of a hit and miss too. Some of them were a lot more popular than what was pulled out. And then uh, the yeah, the timing of it to not do it during it. Yeah, that's a great point. That's supposed to overlapped with tours.
Pete,
Yeah.
Joe, I get an idea. Can
Yeah,
you
go
hear
ahead.
me, Pete? The next time you invite us authors up on the stage to talk about our book, put a timer up front with a very loud ding. So some of the people that were reading read chapter after chapter and wouldn't step off the podium. And the last guy got up there was almost shoved off the podium because there was no time limit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a
And
good point. And they forgot one of you.
I
So
know it was me.
yeah, I know. I know. So yeah, no, I probably could have had better control of that. That's a great point, because we had a very specific schedule that we had to follow, because that room had to be used by Carnival to get ready, and there are other events that when some of that got, in fact, that's one of the events that started late. Most everything worked like clockwork. That author one did not, and that author one started late and went long. Uh, so yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Does anyone need to go here? I got about 42 minutes. I'll go longer too, but anyone need to go like in the next 10 minutes that wants to say something before I go down these other thought-provoking categories?
I do have a question, Pete.
Yep.
Any feedback from Gary Sinise?
No.
Um, how he
Well,
felt about it?
uh, no, not specific. I know we got a bunch of feedback. Well, yes, there was positive feedback, but what is he going to say to our face about, hey, this was a great event? The one thing I think maybe in the back of his mind, because I kept getting asked this question, how many people are going to be at the concert? How many people are going to be at the concert? And I was really concerned about how many people were going to get on the boat and turn their back on the concert while he's sweating out there on the stage with a big band where he paid $100,000 to come perform. And then there was only about 40 people or so, 50 people at his last song, not 1,000, not 2,000, which when we initially coordinated with them, we were shooting for 2,000 people. We were also shooting for, but then we were told that we couldn't, to invite CENTCOM, SOCOM, all the other retirees in the area, uh, make it a big thing, but then that would have affected parking. And so there were a couple things that contradicted on that. He seemed super happy. Everyone was really appreciative of him, and he thought it was great what we were about to do, and I think kind of jealous that his wife didn't let him come.
That would have been great.
But I think I think we had a poor showing at the concert. Um, at the beginning, it was okay. It wasn't. I don't think we even had 1,000, but um, because some people got confused when they signed up, and I tried to squash these rumors. When they signed on to the Carnival app, when they registered, they thought that was the time they had to show up at the port to port board. And I said, no, 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 no. Come at 10 o'clock for the concert. We're going to shuttle people in there so they could get through there and get everyone on boarded on time. But we wanted everybody there for the concert. And a lot of people came late and didn't come to the concert at all. But we can't really control that. That would be the only negative thing with Gary Sinise. He thoroughly enjoyed his sidebar event with the Vietnam vets and those key VIPs. He enjoyed the pre-sale cake cutting and speeches and the music and all of that. So, and he was showered with gifts. Obviously, from the thank you gifts that he got a bunch while he was on stage. People were like throwing panties on the stage, or throwing books and stuff on the stage. And in between songs, he'd pull it and acknowledge and pull the stuff. So I know he went home with quite a few things. Okay, marketing. Is there anybody here that didn't hear about this cruise any earlier than about a year out? Anyone that didn't know that this cruise was happening? Let's see. So people about the concert, many thought once it went on the boat that they could not come out to watch the concert. Yeah, they couldn't come back off the ship. Patty asked the question. They couldn't come back off the ship, unfortunately, like you can in port, where you can come on and off as much as you want because it's just too much of a bottleneck getting everybody on the ship. But originally we were going to stream the concert into one of the theaters and on the TVs on the ship so you could watch it while you're having your cocktails on the boat. That fell through. I don't know why, because at first Carnival said they could do it, but that fell through. And then the second thing, I looked up often up on the ship. There was plenty of balcony and space up there where people could have gone down and listened to the concert from up above. And there wasn't a lot of people watching. Okay. So marketing, did everybody here know about the cruise at least a year out?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone not? And I guess polling, I could say, hey, did you find out from a friend? You find out from Facebook? Did you get an email from SFA? Did you read it in one of these SF chat rooms? I might do a post poll. I think some of these key things that will help in the future to know how we can best communicate with our folks to let them know about these opportunities.
Thought about TV advertisement?
We didn't, because that's typically really expensive, and we didn't get a lot of donations, but we hit about 10 different special forces related, no, actually about 15 different special forces Facebook sites, LinkedIn, individual and SFA LinkedIn site, tagging Green Berets and special forces and all of that. So it doesn't matter if they log into LinkedIn anytime during that time, it would come up.
Pete,
Yeah.
here in
Oh, let me finish.
Okay.
We reached out to the Sentinel. We put it out in the Drop. We put it out with American Legion. We put it out with the Veteran of Foreign Wars. We put it out with the Disabled American Vets. We put it out in the Stars and Stripes. We put it out in. We contacted Fox News about it in advance. We talked to the local folks in advance. They came for the pre-sale party, but they didn't really advertise in the local Tampa stuff. We hit up SOCOM. We hit up USASOC. We hit up SF Command. We hit up SWIC. We personally went to every active and National Guard Special Forces Group headquarters. And we hit up every FRG out there in case their husbands weren't telling them about the cruise, if they heard it from work or not. Some commands feel like, well, this is a boondoggle or this supports a charity. And the lawyers tell them, sorry, you cannot advertise that on the government system. So they wouldn't email our information or flyer out. We did not take any radio. We did talk to that podcast company, and we did not take any TV. Over to you, Joe.
Sorry, it takes a
What we
while
did
to
do.
unmute my audio.
Yeah, we
I was just
reached
saying,
about six. No, it's higher than that. I have to go back and look at my notes. I've the amount of people in every state that we reached out that heard about this event. Now, whether they threw the magazine out or the email that VFW sent out or any of these organizations, we hit like we easily over 20 million people.
the when I before I left to come out there here in Melbourne, Florida, there was news articles on it happening and after the fact. So the news media was doing it. I just didn't know how wide that was. I don't know if it's. I did see the crew out there when Gary Sinise was performing. It was Channel 10. I think that's the Tampa channel. They
Yep.
were there. That's the
Yep.
only feed
Yeah, they
I
had a couple, they
seen.
had two there. Yeah.
But
And
I don't know how
and
far
much of
that went
that wasn't
out.
necessarily we had a double-edged sword on the marketing side. Part of it was, and we had a lot of concern. People come back, hey, that's a big target. You guys are a target for someone to take down that ship with all that history and heroes on there. And it was a double-edged sword between how wide we were going to advertise the thing. And so most of that TV media, we reached out to Fox News about it. They didn't hit us up before the cruise, but they did a thing while we were on the boat on day two, a live broadcast from the ship. The TV channels that were there from Tampa were there because Carnival Carnival marketed that part because the president was there, Gary Sinise was there, and they were help promoting themselves. So they're the ones that did that, and they've been very good partners with us, offering their advertising services. And again, we wanted to be careful on how much we advertised through them too, because they can advertise to every cruiser that's ever cruised before. And we didn't want it going out that wide. We wanted this solely for Green Berets families and friends. And so we were very specific with some of the marketing. Okay. Next, I think anyone have any issues with the branding of the cruise, the global gathering of Green Berets and palm trees and islands and an A-team and sunsets in Caribbean and anything? Anyone have any feedback on the branding of it that also helps with marketing? Okay. Nothing heard. Like I said, I'm just going to go through these pretty quick. Legal and contracts, nothing probably from your guys' end because I signed contracts with a bunch of hotels and places for different activities pre and post cruise, but there wasn't a lot to any liability on a lot of that. So everything that we pretty much did, the individual had to make their own hotel reservation with our discount code. They had to make their own excursion planning. Uh, they had, pick what they wanted to do. It's kind of what we want to do. We'll give them opportunities to do some formal stuff. But I know a lot of people didn't come to any of the symposiums, which is really sad because there are some badass events and things that were covered in them. But even though they met, I wanted them to enjoy the cruise. So that's why you saw that I emailed out and put in Facebook a link to all of those symposiums that people can take it back to their chapter, take it back to their families, take it back to their teams, whatever, to share some of that professional development that we did.
Pete, I'm going to pester you again.
Yep, go ahead.
After action, I have a timeshare with the Holiday Inn group, And so I stayed at the Holiday Inn there on my point system. But when I told them I was with the Green Beret, coming into town, not only did I use my points, but they gave me a reduced price under yours because I
Nice.
was a member.
Nice.
So that might be worth
Oh,
considering.
yeah, what was your price? What'd you get?
I think one under 120.
Oh, that's really good. Now, what kind of place was it?
Holiday Inn,
Holiday
the
Inn. Yeah,
one on the
that's a
list.
lower tier hotel. So yeah,
No, I'm saying the one that was
they're
on the
not going to
list.
be able to compete with the West Shore Grand that they gave us for 145. So
Yeah,
yeah,
at
you're
the
right.
how
We
I'm
kind of
I'm a
got
member of the Holiday Inn also, and I think it was $119 a night.
yeah, yeah, that's good. I mean, Motel 6 is cheap too. Yeah, no, the Holiday Inn's not bad, and it was in a good location, I think too. So no, that's a good point, Joe. Let me go back to my hotel stuff here and make a comment about that. Now, I contracted, I can only do so much. So I had contracts with 9 hotels. And so yeah, I didn't hit up the Holiday Inn. I didn't hit up a bunch of these others. And so yeah, when you found out that they did that, I would have gladly added them to our list saying, hey, if you want a $120 room, had you told me about that beforehand, I would have added that to all the lists of the hotels. And I had a family, thanks to Jerry and the Mallory family, to went to hotels and helped me line those up. We could have added that to our list of hotels.
Pete, I think that they quoted $155 or something like that under contract.
Oh.
The Holiday Inn that I visited, I think was 150 something.
Yeah, where was that Holiday Inn?
Golly, I'd have to go through my works
Yeah.
to tell you the
Yeah.
location.
And Dan, which one did you and Joe stay at?
Yeah, Becky and I, we were over at the one on was it Westlake Boulevard or whatever?
West Shore.
Yeah, West Shore.
West Shore Boulevard. Yeah, farther away.
Um,
Yeah, so farther away from downtown.
It was like 3 miles from you guys.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
But one thing to consider especially when you put out multiple hotels is maybe on a daily link schedule, contact each of the hotels because a lot of them have bulletin boards for events that are going on that you could have put out, okay, here's the SFA schedule so that, okay, we get up for breakfast at the Holiday Inn. We can see your latest and greatest update.
Well, my schedule didn't change. 2 days before the cruise, it never changed. So when I
it did.
emailed
Okay.
it out, I said, this is the final schedule. And I recommended to print it off to take it with you, or you could meet Carly, or we could print it on the ship for you, that schedule until those fun times started coming out. And even then, the fun times didn't have the group photo individual times.
Right.
Schedule did. And it was on the Facebook site. So anyone could have picked up a phone and gone to the Facebook or the SFA website and looked at all the times of every day, every SF activity.
Yeah, and we printed up the schedule, but I think it just would have been kind of a little bit more of a blitz for the people at the other hotels to see that you guys at the main place were thinking of us at the outskirt hotels.
Well, we were thinking about everybody at all the hotels.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, understandable, but I mean, you put out the list of what'd you say, 9 hotels?
So yeah, the goal also was, I mean, that's on you guys if you want to go drive 30 miles away or stay in Jacksonville, Florida, or Orlando for the night and show up the morning of the cruise. That's your choice.
Yeah.
My goal, and first groups did this. I think the first group was the only group that took the bull by the horns, got all the first group guys to stay all at the same hotel.
Yeah.
And had events lined up. The other guys were all fly by night, last minute. Hey, let's meet at this bar. Let's do this. And so there wasn't any really good. I asked for a year for a planner to represent each group. I wasn't going to do it for them because I had enough on the plate as it was. And first group stepped up. The fact that people stayed at the Holiday Inn or Motel 6, that's on them. My goal, now you're going to get a whole week on a boat together, but I tell you what, the guys that met before the cruise and stayed in Ybor City after the cruise, and they all stay at the same place, that $30 difference or $25 difference was worth being with all their brothers and catching up pre-cruise.
Yeah. Okay.
So just a counter to what you guys did. You got the cheaper deal though, so that's good. And I know people have, a lot of our guys travel a lot, so they have their Marriott rewards or their Hilton Honor rewards, and so there's only certain hotels they stay at. But that's why I had a Marriott. That's why I had a Hilton. That's why I tried to make sure that all those point type hotels, those were in our group of hotels. So just to let you know. Okay. So yeah, we're just talking about lodging. Wives, widows, kids. Anyone have any feedback on one of the AAR comments in the past was consider including more events for the family? How did this cruise work out for you guys? Or Tampa before and after the activities that were scheduled? Okay, nothing. How about for considerations for elderly and disabled? Any thoughts or issues there?
I'm partially, I have a bad leg. So sometimes I have to use a cane. Sometimes I have to use my walker. But then Carly got me a good room, so it's able to maneuver in there. But it seemed like Carnival was not very friendly with people with wheelchairs. Bring your own, your scooters. You can't, I mean, it seems
Oh
like they
yeah.
were really very
Yeah, they only used
negative.
them to get people on and off the ship. Other than that, you had to have your own. Yeah. And we sent out a company that you could rent that stuff if you didn't want to bring it from home, type of thing. Uh, to have to cart it around with you the whole time for the people that were in that consideration. But that would be good. So you're saying that you think Carnival could have been more friendly by having those services available on the ship?
Yes,
Okay.
they have to take in consideration.
Yeah. Now I know
Again,
they had some that people needed that got injured to be able to issue out things, and of course you had to pay for those services. But okay, I'll bring that up to them
now
because they
and
are trying to be military friendly, and if they want us on the ship, and we have an older clientele that and guys that have jumped out of a lot of airplanes that have knee and hip and feet issues. Uh,
or head like me.
yep, or head. Yep, I'm in the
No,
same
I
boat as
don't
you.
understand why there are so many dogs and strollers. I mean, I looked in and I thought it was a baby. It was dogs in a stroller. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one. But there was a lot of dogs on the ship.
Yeah, yep, a lot of service dogs. So
These
uh,
weren't service, Pete. These were not service dogs.
well, if they weren't service dogs, if they didn't have the proper documentation with Carnival pre-cruise, then they weren't allowed to bring them on the ship.
These
So
things would you, Pete. These things would go in a woman's purse.
yeah, I
You
got
know,
it. And that to me, that's an emotional support dog, but it could be a service dog. You can't ask because of HIPAA type things. But Carnival did ask, and they had to provide their paperwork in order to bring them on the ship and the plan, an appropriate plan with left and right limits for that. So I don't know. Service dogs are a little bit farther left and right limits, I guess. Registration. So let's talk about the pre-registration process. We're going to talk pre-registration with the SFLI link when you first paid that 125 per person, and then the reservation that you got later once Dream Vacations got your information from the pre-registration sheet to then email you to then reserve your room. Let's talk pre-registration first. Anyone with feedback or issues on that?
Yes, I had one.
Okay.
When I did it was simple enough. And when I did the registration, I paid the upper price and everything when I was going down it. I was supposed to have a balcony.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And
So you're still talking pre-registration though. You thought you signed up for a balcony.
balcony, yeah. And I paid for it and everything else on the registration. When I did the pre thing, it said balcony, the higher price, and everything else. And when I got there, all I had was an ocean view, which I lived with it, but
Okay, I'll look that
it
one
just
up because there's a lot of people that were in the same boat as you. And literally the registration format, when you guys signed up on that link and put your name and your address and your phone number and your email and what t-shirt size you wanted, what cabin that you wanted that was available at the time that you registered, because they started disappearing as those rooms
right.
weren't available. When you clicked on that link, that went to an Excel spreadsheet that got exported and got sent to me, Kevin, and Carly. All three of us had that all through the crew, all through the pre-planning. And you don't know the number of things where they thought they had a balcony, but they didn't. They had an ocean view. And they didn't pay for it. The only thing they paid for at the time of pre-registration was the same as everybody, the 125 per person, the 250 per cabin. That went towards the deposit for the ship. We had to have $140,000 in 45 days for the time we advertised this cruise to be able to go on this cruise. Otherwise, people would have got their money back and this thing would have got canceled. So that's what the whole pre-registration was. We couldn't just do the registration. And it went towards the swag and signage and all those banners you saw, and all that stuff. So I can look that up, Dan, because
Yeah.
if you signed up, if that was available and you clicked on that,
Yes.
Carly could not give that cabin away. We had them designated how many per category, and no one could take that from you.
Yeah, because that's only and like I say, I lived with it, but it was just the fact that I paid for a balcony.
Well,
I
you
got an
didn't
ocean
pay.
view.
Okay, wait. Okay, there's a difference here. And
Well, the
pre-registration, you
balconies were
paid for.
higher cost.
Yes, but in the pre-register, we're talking pre-registration right now. That was 250. You didn't. You
Okay.
reserve a balcony, but you didn't pay for a balcony at pre-registration time.
Okay.
Okay.
But when I did go in though, after pre-registering and requesting the balcony, I
Okay.
clicked on a balcony and paid for a balcony when I did
Okay.
do the whole payment.
All right.
But when I got my room and we didn't get a balcony. So somewhere in that loop, I didn't get what I paid for.
Right. Well, I'll look that up when this is over, and I'll follow up with you because
Okay.
I got the whole list.
Okay, cool.
Because this happened quite a bit, and in 100% of the time, the individual is wrong. Not saying you're wrong. I'm going to have to look it up and try to get you an answer.
Yeah, well, and that's fine because, like I say, this is my first cruise. But when I clicked on the thing balcony, and paid the higher price and everything,
Yep.
and then when I opened my door and went, oh,
I'm gonna follow up with you now.
okay, cool.
What you could have done at that time is gone to guest services, and Carly, she was fixing all those things on the boat. So if you paid for that, you should have got that.
Yeah, because I mentioned it to her when in passing, and she kind of
Okay.
did the same thing. Oh, I'll look into it, and I never heard from her again.
Okay. Well, you'll hear
So,
from me as soon as we hang up the phone.
okay, cool.
Okay. Anyone else on the pre-registration? Okay, now we'll go into reservations. Oh, this was a lot of fun. Reservations. So reservations is after you pre-registered, Carly received a link from Kevin and I to say these are the people that pre-registered and this is what they reserved for. And then she had to send a link to that person saying, in this case for Dan, if it was a balcony, it would have been a pre-registration for a balcony because it had a balcony cost or an inner cabin cost. Like I had an inner cabin. So here's your inner cabin cost. And for people to fill out the stuff, put their credit card info and all that kind of stuff to register. Once we got closer to the cruise, then the step was to lock those in. And then that's when Carly came out and started assigning cabins. And she had to do it based on handicapped and all kinds of different requests and people wanting to be together. So the handicap first, and the people that wanted to be together on the same deck or close to each other. And then when people got added later, after other ones were already assigned, she just tried to get them as close as possible. Some of them she even swapped. So she did the best she could with the time that she could with it. She did have an antiquated system, I can say, computer system, because I could ask her how many people signed up. She had no idea. I could ask her, can you give me a list of people that have paid? She had no idea. So it's a very antiquated system that, bless her heart, all that work that she did. It's not the system I would use for a cruise, but it saved us 10% of the total cost of the total fees that everyone paid by not going through a third party. And she donated her time for the last year and a half with no commission, zero. Everything that she would have got commission all went back into Build-A-Bear and ducks and SFLI cakes, brought in the Sister Love people, just all kinds of stuff she did outside the scenes that she took care of with zero commission. Anyone with major reservation issues, good or bad? And I got yours, Dan. All right. We had some setting up and cleaning up to do, but that was just a committee. And the nice thing about going on a cruise versus a regular convention, we coordinated with Carnival. This is what we want. This is the order we want it. And as long as we gave them the plan, they put up all those posters. They put up the flag. They did everything for us. They took it all down, and we literally could enjoy breakfast the final morning, get off the ship, and it was waiting for us when we got off the ship to go home. It was a lot easier than a regular land convention because we contracted the ship. And so they pretty much did anything that we asked within reason. Okay, registration. Okay, we didn't have a registration welcome type table. Carnival did a little welcome thing. There was too much going on. We were going to pass out T-shirts and coins as soon as they came on the ship, but then there would have been a bottleneck getting on the ship and limited time, so we chose not to do that. But probably the biggest feedback I got from people, even though we gave everyone lanyards and you had the sale card with your name on it, albeit really small with a little picture on it to stick in there, was to have name tags. And so we'll be looking at that a lot closer next time because a lot of people change over time. And sometimes when you don't recognize them, you don't recognize a name like, oh my God. And then you do your catching up. Anyone else have any? So typically a registration happens because that's where you pick up your swag bag. We didn't do that. We had them in the rooms pre-positioned because Carnival took care of that for us. Typically do registration because you give them a badge because we know that you're allowed to come into our hospitality suite and into our symposiums. We didn't worry about that. If you paid and you got on the ship, you were allowed to go anywhere on the ship and attend anything that you wanted to attend. So that is the reason we didn't do name tags. But I think if we ever did it again, we would add name tags. Any thoughts on that? Agree, disagree?
I brought my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, some
that
of
was
us
a good
did,
move.
but
I agree. Name tags.
yeah, name tag's a
Yes.
good idea.
I
know,
hadn't
Becky and
seen
I
some of
brought
those
ours.
guys for 40 years.
Yes.
And I tell you, my belly is a lot bigger now than it was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
as they grow, it gives you something to set your name tag on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. There you go.
I like you.
The program and brochures, we kind of touched on this already. The one thing that we couldn't do is in the Carnival Hub app. They had all Carnival stuff in the app, and you were able to like, hey, I want to go to this, this, and this, and then we could move it over to your own schedule with all that crap. You had a nice cleaner schedule when you're going to go dine, which show you're going to watch. It had the location, even had maps on how to get there. All of that was in the Carnival Hub app. What wasn't in there was the SFA activities. The SF activities wasn't in there. Now, what the Fun Times did, it had both. It had both their stuff and our stuff. They were late the first day getting the schedule out to everybody, which kind of hurt with some of the activities happened that first morning if people didn't print the schedule before they came on the boat or put them in their phone or whatever. So one thing we talked about is having a week schedule or even a day schedule. So like in that atrium where they had that welcome Green Beret sign, I could have had a big sign there with all the day SF activities on it right there in that one central place. We possibly could have had it on on the internal TV, see the closed circuit television had our list of SF events. Some of them were announced. Initially, when I talked to Carnival, they said they didn't have an issue with me announcing, but they wouldn't let me announce. They had to announce. And so those key SF events, I asked them to announce. And of course, people are busy doing stuff. And then based on where you are on the ship, it sounds like Charlie Brown, or you're busy doing something, you're not really paying attention, like, oh, shoot, yeah, I wanted to do that. And they didn't hear the announcement. So I had a hand up. Weldon Burton.
Yeah, Pete, on the fun times, if Carnival could have bolded our events on that,
Yeah.
that would have been a lot easier to read, because you scan that thing and there's not hundreds, but a number of events at a single time in different places.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes I couldn't tell which was our events and which was their events.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't catch that. I like that idea. Either bold or in a different color font. Something
italicized or whatever.
something that stands out. And the thing that I got on them for, and I'm still not happy about because I didn't win, and I normally win, is they didn't put all the sub photo events. They put in there the start time of the photos, but they didn't put, hey, this is when 11th, 12th, 19th, 20th, Mac v SOG or whatever. They didn't put those times in there. And yet they made the CrossFit workout of the day, this big font in the middle of the thing that was much bigger than everything else. They had room to put that. And there wasn't more than like 5 pictures in a day. So they could have had that sub area there. But I like that bold, color, or italicize.
Pete, I got an idea.
Yeah.
See, CR codes on signs with the date. So when you walk down there, you just point your phone at it and then keep on walking, because you're going to go to a website and look at that stuff. Instead of standing around making notes on what's in front of you, you just do your CR code.
Yeah, you could do that. But like every single one of our events was on the SF cruise site. All of them were listed. QR code for that site, an email address for the site. You can just go on SFA. You didn't even need to log into Team House, because I did it purposely to be out there in the public so a non-SFA member could take a look at that schedule. And I looked at it all the time. I copy and pasted it from that website and I put it in the calendar on my phone. There's all kinds of things that people could do to be able to access our stuff and look at our schedule day by day. And I use it because people ask me all the time. And I wanted my own way to explain them. But, I can only do so much for people.
Yeah, us technically retarded people. Yeah, if there'd have been some advertising about these other sites, it would have been nice.
There was. It was in the bottom of every email I ever sent out, and I probably sent out about 50 emails. Had the link to the site at the signature block. I put it into I put out so many emails. I know it got kind of lost. I met people on the boat. Oh man, you sent a lot of emails. They asked me a question. I'm like, that was in one of those emails you didn't freaking read. Freaking pissed me off.
Okay, well, I read most of them, but yeah, if you clicked in something like that, but it would have been nice if it had been advertised there on the boat. So, okay, there's another website.
Yeah.
Like I say,
I put that on there. Whether we have the whole thing with the QR code, so when you're not at it, you could have that QR code saved on your phone or whatever, or taking a picture of that board. Same thing. I took a screenshot of the webpage. It all does the same thing. And everyone had it before the cruise. In fact, that QR code that you see behind me on this picture.
Yeah.
we disabled it, but that took you to it too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Us technically deficient ones don't know all that shit.
Yeah. Well, if at the bottom of the email and in the emails where I said, here's where you go for all the information. When we get frequently asked questions, we had a frequently asked questions section. We had all of our hotels listed. We had the entire schedule listed. Everyone could go to that one site to see what's going on and where they needed to be, and they could have done that anytime on the boat.
Okay.
But
Didn't
point
know
taken.
that was active at that point.
What's that?
Didn't know that was I thought that was something just in the email that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to be an
I didn't
ongoing.
need it. Pete, did
asset.
that one site require being online or having
No.
the internet?
It did
No.
not.
Because a
That's
lot
why-
of people didn't have internet on the
Yeah,
cruise.
that's why I did it that way, and that's why I had it also. Every event timeline was in the fun times because they were putting it out each day, and we did it that way too in case something changed. But point taken, every convention that we do, we have a big dry erase board, so they're even crossing out things. And hey, bus is picking people up at this time, and people could go by there to get the latest, greatest news or announcements and stuff. So yeah, we already covered that earlier to have a QR code board with all that stuff every day posted without having to go online or go on their app. Okay, use the polling. Yeah. Another comment?
I had a point of frustration,
Okay.
and I don't think there was a way to fix it.
All right.
There were members on the list that you had posted up until like before the cruise of who's coming.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't accurate for different reasons, but there were names on there that I wanted to meet, but I didn't get a chance to meet them because I didn't know where they were at. I didn't know what room they were in. I didn't know how to get in contact with them. I had to pay extra to get the permission on the app to get in contact with them. And I said, I don't want to pay $5 per person to make,
you said the Team House app, you have to pay $5 to request.
No, the cruise ship. Carnival Cruise Lines charge you $5 per name so that you can contact a person through their app.
Well, there's two things that could have been done. One is it's $5 for the whole cruise to have unlimited internet access on the boat to communicate with people and find your way around on the ship. That's one.
What?
Two,
I paid that.
The guest services, you could have said, hey, I'd like to leave a note for this person. They're not going to give you the cabin number, but they could leave a note for that person and call them in the room that you're looking for them. I don't know. We ran into lots of issues with that list being public, being available, to where we took it off and made it to where SFA members had to sign in because of PII type stuff. The same thing I keep fighting with, making things available for everybody, not just chapter admin guys can see their people. We want everyone to be able to see everybody. And if an individual doesn't want to be seen, then fine, hide yourself and say, hey, I don't want to be contacted. And you can't do anything about that on our Team House. But on the cruise, it's worth looking at that if we're able to get the permissions. Yeah, we could get permissions from people before the cruise if you want to advertise what room number they're in so people could try to link up with you.
Yeah. I've seen the list.
You have to get
I wrote
permission.
down the names, but I couldn't get in contact with them for the whole cruise.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know if they made the ship because it stopped updating a few days out. Because of those
because it was a pain in the ass, and I had more complaints coming in at the end that a list was even available versus the one of people trying to see. At first, it was overwhelmingly, this is a great idea. Let's do this. I want to see what's going. Oh, I need to see who I need to recruit. Oh my God, it's gonna be awesome that they're gonna be there. I hope I can run into them. And then the farther it went through the pre-planning phase, we're talking like months out. People were like, get that list, get my name off of there. And I was spending so much time deleting names and so much time with cruise cancellations. And I try to get Kevin and Carly because they're the ones that would get the cancellation first. Hey, let's share this document. Let's not just be my document. Let's share this thing and update the stuff. And we're all on the same sheet. Didn't happen. Not happy about that, but it is what it is. So people, you can't make everybody happy is the bottom line. And it's too bad that maybe you weren't able to link up with some of them. And most likely, they weren't on the cruise because that ship is small. Over 4 days, 5 days, you would have probably ran into them at one point or another. All right. Use of polling. I thought polling was pretty good about getting feedback from people. I looked at 6 past conventions, the type of symposiums and topics that were covered that I thought might be interested in something that covered different generations. That would be interesting. Any feedback on things that could have been done better on the polling or for activities of things to do or symposiums that weren't covered? All right. Photographer. I kind of was the official photographer. We didn't put a lot of time and effort into this because I was personally going to do all the symposiums and go around I took about 1,600 shots a day or so of people and families and people doing stuff. And then I shared that link with everybody, whether they want those pictures or not. And then that individual, if they saw there's a picture of them in there and they didn't want it, they could delete that photo if they so choose. And so I know I had a lot of personal pictures in there too, but I just wanted to share anything and everything with anybody, and anybody else could also share their photo. So then that could be used for other things for down the road. And then the group photos, we definitely had lots of different people taking group photos, and Carnival had their professional photographers at every event that we asked them to be at. So that helps with historical capturing, labeling, and distribution. And I not only send those pictures to the people going on the cruise, I also sent my links to my pictures, which I might add nothing super private in there, to everyone in SFA and the symposiums to show them what they missed out on, to hopefully recruit them the next time we do this again, so they can see, oh my gosh, I missed that symposium, I missed that reunion. Banquet. Any good or bad for the banquet? Like I said, I do have some email on some of these topics like that already.
Yeah, the only problem that, and I heard a couple other people also, is just having it, and I don't know if there was any way of doing it, but just heard a lot of complaints about the banquet being split up to the 2 dining rooms.
Okay.
That was kind of
Yeah, that was impossible. You can't eat
Yeah,
in
exactly. I don't know how it could have been fixed, but
it couldn't have been done any other way. When
yeah,
we've had people sign up for it, one dining room holds 400, one holds 600. The theater
Yeah.
holds 1,000. So we did the first part of the banquet in the theater, and then we had to split people, and we let people choose, what groups they want. If they want, all first group wanted to go to one or whatever, or a family wanted to go, we let people choose that stuff to go into it. It was impossible
yeah,
to do it. The other
it
thing
just
we were going to do is we almost had to do multiple banquets and do the whole thing. If we had 2,000 people on the ship, only 1,000 could fit in the theater. And just like they did 2 shows a night, we almost had to do 2 banquets,
wow,
which meant we would have done multiple dinners as well. And I
wow.
would be at the first one doing the toasts and getting all that going on. And then I'd come back for the next dinner and do the whole program again.
Yeah.
We didn't have to do that. Chris Wilkerson did organize one in one of the dining rooms, and I organized it in the other dining room for
Yeah.
that event. So yeah,
Like I
nothing.
say, I didn't see a way around it, but that was one of the complaints I heard from several people. Just kind of bringing that out. So
Okay.
yeah, just something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I won't think very long about it because there's nothing you can do about it. But you go to a convention someplace, we're all in one room, all in one place, and everyone hears and sees the speakers, and then everyone eats. And I'm really surprised they complained about it, because when you're in a big banquet hall with 800 people in it or 1,000 people in it in Vegas, and you're sitting at your little table 17 over there, whatever, with a table of 10, and your back is to the rest of the room or to whatever, and you turn your chair around, you're not talking to anybody else anywhere anyway until after the banquet's over and you get ready to go dance and go have a good time, which is what everyone did after they got done doing dinner. So I really have a hard time with that complaint, but
Yeah.
I'm logging it. Okay.
I think starting so early was kind of, I mean, we had the Sisters Love there, but to be at the theater at 3:30 was,
Oh,
I thought,
starting
kind of
early for the banquet.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was way too early.
yeah, that was only because of the evening shows and to get the dinner done in time. We could have moved that all and started it all at 6:30 and then maybe had the show at 3:30.
That would have been better because,
But
my
the
wife
issue
wasn't ready, so I went there by myself, and then it was like, okay, I'm watching a show here, and I thought it was the banquet, so.
yeah, started
And I
early.
think an announcement that the dancing was going to go upstairs, I must have missed that or I didn't read it, whatever. But I thought after the banquet, my wife goes, where's the dancing? I said, I don't know. And then we were walking around.
Oh yeah, it's at the Rex Lounge and it's on the Lido deck.
Yeah,
Same two places every night. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. And location for dancing post banquet.
can I bring up? And I got to leave, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
And great job. You guys did an amazing job. Accolades, whatever. You deserve them all. You did a great, outstanding job. You and Kevin, everybody. It was an amazing trip. I think it was great. But the thing I want to say is like the comms, like a bunch of my guys, we all paid for Wi-Fi on Carnival, figured we could text each other and we couldn't.
Correct.
And then find out about the $5 app. I don't think it was $5 per person. I thought it was $5 to use it.
Correct.
And I would try to reach somebody, but they didn't pay the $5 or they didn't know
Yeah,
it. So I never
correct.
saw them, so I could never contact them. So I don't know if we could ever do a contract where we say, okay, we include where we could see somebody who's on the cruise and
Hear
we
it
want to
for
talk
everybody.
to them.
Yeah,
And
I
just
like that idea. Because
because
yeah, $5 per person, that would have been like what, 5,000 $10,000. Um I was really hoping to get a bunch of donations to where I could comp stuff. And what I was going to do, I wasn't going to get just, if I got so much money, hey, everyone gets free drinks. I wasn't going to do that. The whole goal was to give people cabin credit. So you want to pay it for this or you pay it for that. Uh, that's a good point for like communication and texting because yeah, you couldn't text on the ship. You could only use Wi-Fi enabled messaging platforms like WhatsApp, Signal, Facebook Messenger. Um, there's a bunch of them. All of those.
yeah, I know
A
some
lot
guys
of our clientele don't know what those
Google
are.
or WhatsApp. Yeah. So, but like I said, once I found out about that, but I still couldn't contact them, or some guys didn't want to pay the $5. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did we ask USAA for support? Because I know
Yes.
they helped out a lot. I was talking to one of the guys, I think in the one in Jacksonville, and he told me, that they were supporting, the hospitality room and stuff like that. So I don't know if that, they helped us out or not this year. They usually try and push the SFA credit card and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. If they did it on the SF. They didn't do it through SFA. They would have done it through SFLI. And I
Okay.
haven't seen Kevin's full list yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to again, thanks. I have
Yeah,
to
great
leave.
point. Thank you much for
Great.
that.
And, great job. Truly a great job. So thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
All righty, out here.
All right. The next one was vendor room, Green Beret Marketplace. This one we went back and forth. We only had pre-planned. We only had 3 vendors that wanted to bring stuff on board or bring a sample of their stuff on board. We had 2 issues. One is we were restricted with what we could sell on the boat and bringing any inventory you had to bring in, unlike at a convention where you could set it up and then throw a blanket over it and then lock the room up at night. You had to take everything back to your room, your cabin. If you brought it on, you couldn't bring anything on that their fun shop sells in their online on their store on the ship. We did have the opportunity, any vendor could have the fun shop times mall area, if you will. Could have just said, here's my inventory, sell it for me. And they would have taken care of everything for you. No one took that on because they wanted like 15 or 20% or something ridiculous percentage of the proceeds. So no one wanted to do that. We wanted everyone to enjoy the ship. And so that was a double-edged sword as well, because then people don't know where the vendors are. And then the vendors are like, well, okay, I think I'll set up. I see the schedule. I think I'll set up during this time. And they'll pick the place, and it'll be hit and miss whether people run into them or not to sell their stuff. If I had to do it over again, I think we would have a specific vendor time and location that everyone goes to. So to give them the love that they were hoping for on it. But it was up to them. They could tell us where they wanted to be, and we could put it in the fun times. We could put the location, we could put the time. And we told them that we could do that. But a lot of them just kind of threw up their banner or threw up their sign and just did it when they wanted to. Kid Carnival flash red lights before sounding the horn. Hey, Greg, you still on? Okay. I have a.
It scared the shit out of me.
Oh, there you are. So yeah, a warning before that. Yeah, with our clientele and the hearing aids and the noise. Let me make a note of that. And you're talking the big loud ship horn, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Not only PTSD, but hearing and yeah, they could make an announcement or lights or something.
Pete, this is Joyce. I'm gonna have to go.
Okay.
Should you ever decide to do this again, I'm right with you. You did a good job. Thank you.
Thanks,
Anyway,
Joyce. And tell
have a
Jerry
nice-
thanks too for everything you
I
guys
will.
did.
I will. Thank you again.
All right, take
Goodbye.
care. Bye.
Pete,
Right.
I have a personal question before I go.
Yeah.
The grandkids are down. The green beret I gave you for your chapter,
Wait.
did it fit?
Oh, wait, I gave that to Gary Sinise. That was for my chapter?
No,
Oh,
I
the other beret, the other one. Yeah. I have that. I fit. Yeah. In fact, I meant to take it to my meeting. I had a meeting Sunday, so I'm going to wear that at my next meeting.
I don't know when that was produced, but I had to give it to you.
That had to have been like 1972 or something. Yeah, that had to been in the 70s or 78, because they did a convention out here in Hawaii in 78. So it might be from then. No, thank you for that. I'm looking forward to sporting it. I haven't even unpacked from the trip yet. I've been so busy since I got home. So that's still in my suitcase in my spare room.
Well, I appreciate all you did. The only problem I had was with the book. The author's time is
Yeah.
I didn't get enough time to say anything other than my name's Joe. Here's my book, and then I was shuffled.
Yeah.
That was my only real complaint there. But I have to go. And I want to say
Okay.
thank you for all the work you all did.
Yeah, Joe, appreciate it.
Okay,
All
no
right,
problem.
see ya.
Bye.
Okay. And then I think that is, you got presentations, got symposiums, got swag bag, silent auction, raffles. Yeah. So open it up, free for all. Any questions, comments, good, bad, ugly? No questions. Oh, okay. Nope, I saw another question in here. Make sure that we all have information on how family members can reach us in case of emergencies. Oh no. Unfortunately, my sister passed, and we didn't find out until we docked in Tampa, and the cruise line didn't seem to be helpful to the family to try to help. That's interesting, because that is one of the questions, Patty, that we asked Carnival, and they said, oh yeah, this is what they need to do. And we put it out in our last Q&A of what the process was. And we put it out in our last email on how they could be contacted. and they have ways to contact the ship. And I bought the Wi-Fi package for the whole time. Anybody could have given you my contact info. Hey, if you have a problem, contact Pete. I mean, probably wouldn't have thought of doing that to spam me, but I would have definitely got you that information. Um, so I will make sure that's highlighted next time. We did highlight it, but it wasn't obviously well known. Emergency. Okay. That's a good one, Patty. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a few comments.
Yeah.
Um, First, I want to say you did a absolutely fantastic job. I was totally blown away. Wife too, same deal.
All right. Thank you.
The the only issue I have was with the ship's handling of the dining room.
Oh yeah. I've heard, yep. I heard, in fact, I think I have some written comments on that, and I heard some on the ship about that. And let me see if I
This was
capture the same
probably
thing I heard
our,
already.
I think this was our seventh or eighth cruise, something like that. And we've never had that type of deal before. In the
Talking about
past,
when they're
it was
like
nice.
dancing around and it stopped all the service.
No, the
Oh.
fact that everybody was sitting was sat down at a separate table. The whole dining room was full, but it was one couple at each table. So how do you
Oh, not enough group.
interact with
Not
your
enough group.
buddies?
Yeah, not enough
Yeah,
group tables.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
the
this
other
is
thing is,
on Carnival's behalf, unfortunately, this is a smaller, just like the balconies. There's only so many balconies. This is like one of the tiniest cruise ships, other than those private, yachts. And it had very little limited dining. I agree. Separate tables.
yeah, in the past it was nice to get because we'd had the same table and the same group
Yeah.
and the same waiter, even if we were different
Yes.
times.
Yes.
And that was nice.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was a
that's
nice thing.
called My Way Dining or something like that. They didn't make that available on the cruise, but we tried to let everyone know that if you had a group of 10 people, or if you had a group of 4 or a group of whatever, that as long as your group showed up at the same time, that one, you could set your own my time to where you're like, hey, I'm going to go to the late show. We're going to be here at 5:30, a group of 10, that they would reserve a group table for 10 for your group. They just didn't offer that openly to everybody. Just anybody could have set that up if they wanted to with any
Yeah, I
particular
know.
group of people and do it at the
The
same
people I
time,
talked to
same
didn't know
location,
that.
same waiter. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
I'm sorry
The
about
other
that.
thing was it would have been nice to make friends with some of the other guys that I didn't know.
Right. Yeah, I always have I go on a lot of cruises too, and I'm torn between I love having the same waiter because they know what you like and want. And they're all good most of the time.
Yeah.
Is my wife likes to meet people and stick with that group and get to know them well. I like the variety. I like this group tonight, this group the next night, and meeting new people. So we're a little bit different there. And that's why for this charter cruise, we get to do it however we want. And that's why we told them that, hey, people come to you as a group of 2, a group of 6, a group of 20, and they want to do it at a set time in a set dining room, that we would do that and they would reserve that. What they didn't want to do, but we could have done if we wanted to, is exactly what you said that you do on most cruises. My dining, table 53 every night at this time with the people that you wanted that you wanted to. That could have been set up individually. So sorry you didn't know that.
Yeah, even with we never sat at the same table twice.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah,
don't. Yeah.
that's the only that's, and I can't even call that a bitch. It was just an observation.
Yeah, yeah,
Everything
sure.
else was marvelous.
All right, thank
Just
you.
had a wonderful time.
Awesome. Me too. That was great. Anything
One
else?
last question.
Yeah, sure.
We just we saw the coins are on the site, and I just put an order in for 8 more coins because we want to give some to the grandkids. But we haven't seen the T-shirts yet.
Yeah, the t-shirts take a couple weeks to print and then ship. But
Okay.
you already talked to Kevin Harry, right? The legacy address and requested those coins and shirts.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So he's
Well,
taking
it was
care
a
of those.
regular order thing to put in, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
taking care of those personally. The coins, I think, are located in Kentucky. Well, no, West Virginia or Bragg. I don't remember. The shirts are coming directly out of Crestview, Florida, with red 7Ts.
Okay.
As soon as they print those shirts, they're gonna send you the shirts directly from there, and then Kevin Harry will personally send you the coins to you separately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got a shipment notice already.
Okay, good. Yeah, the coins should get there quicker than the t-shirts.
Okay.
Because they're
But the
getting
shirts have not arrived yet, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't got mine yet either. I put my order in because my wife and I, we were so busy we never made it during those little windows that they had open. And so we didn't even get a coin or a t-shirt. So
That's terrible.
yeah,
Those
it is.
coins are phenomenal. I don't know who designed them, but they did an absolutely outstanding job.
Thank you. That was me.
Very good, Pete.
Yeah.
Very good.
Hey, Pete, speaking of t-shirts,
yeah,
the t-shirts, because I had kind of reserved one from the Bearded Clam.
Yeah.
But my dive got back late. I didn't
Okay.
get a chance to get over and get it. Do you have?
Okay. Yes.
Is there any way for us to contact?
Yeah, that's also on Facebook. Let me
I don't do Facebook.
Okay, yeah. Bearded Clam t-shirts. So it looks like I'm gonna send an email with kind of a summation of what we talked about on some of these things and the directions for the Bearded Clam, coins, t-shirts, all that stuff into one more email to everybody. Because that everyone should get. I know not everyone's on Facebook. Only 1/4 of the people went on the cruise were actually on Facebook. Which is really too bad because that Facebook site, the excitement, the stories, the testimonies, the photos, the videos, it's pretty amazing. It's one site where everyone's putting all their stuff. It's pretty cool.
Well,
It does go on forever and ever.
Me being a former SIGINT guy, I stay away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bearded Clam t-shirt, and let me follow up on that.
Okay, cool.
Email to all. Okay. Any others? I guess there's no more questions up here. All right. Hour and 23. That's right. I had an hour before that too. So it's 2 hours and 23.
So the next question is, are you going to do this again?
Yes. Or I'm not personally going to do it. Well, I might down the road. I actually enjoy doing it. It was a lot of work and I have a lot of other competing things going on. But like, yeah, down the road when I'm retired and hey, I'll be the point man for this. Right now, this was so popular from all the feedback that we've been getting that Kevin Harry and the Special Forces Legacy Initiatives is looking at doing a SF cruise in 2026, 2 years from now.
Okay.
It's not a convention. It's just an opportunity for people to kind of do the same thing, but without all the symposiums and all that stuff. Just guys getting together and having a good time. He's getting bids from a number of companies, and of course, Carnival's typically pretty military friendly, and they would love. In fact, they're offering a kind of a big discount to him to incentivize him to have another one.
Oh, so, I heard from our travel agent what it costs to charter that ship.
Oh yeah,
Holy
just the first contract amount was like 1.7 million. Yeah.
yeah, I think she told me 1.85.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably closer.
We ended up running across her in the airport and
okay.
got the shit for about 2 hours with her
Yeah,
and her
so
husband.
it was a brilliant plan because none of us in our organizations, that's why no veteran service organization has ever done this before in the history of cruises. VFW, American Legion, none of them have chartered a boat like this before. It's always like rock stars and movie stars that charter stuff.
Yeah.
And then businesses do it too on the corporate side. But
SF leads the way. That's all that matters.
that's right.
Amen.
They had to have a
Amen.
plan, not knowing how many were going to go, to have people sign up, and we had a schedule. Hey, we owed 140,000 in the first 45 days. Ouch. Boom, yeah, ouch is right. And we had all these marks on the wall, and that's why we were like going crazy trying to recruit and getting people. And it was hard to do with the active duty guys because they couldn't commit that far out what they were doing. So anyway, it was really a good success. So that's that one. Now, the president of the SFA wasn't a big fan of this. He'd never been on a cruise before, and in fact, the whole board was kind of against me on it. And I'm like, hey guys, don't discount this cruise until after we get done. We see whether we make money or not, and how people are receptive of it. And obviously, we have these SFA conventions coming up, and some of them at SF headquarters. But in 4 years already, we're looking at doing this again for SFACon. So 2028 right now. Don't have a cruise line yet. We have a national committee that we put together. That's kind of how I did this. The first time we've ever done kind of a national committee was with me being out here in Hawaii, getting volunteers to help me out. And that's how we pulled this one off. Had very little support from the chapter that lives there, where all conventions in the past have been chapter-led events in their backyard. I hope
now that you did it and it turned out so fantastic.
Yeah.
The next one's going to sell out like yesterday.
Oh yeah. Well, the nice thing about that, if we get the questionnaire out in advance, which I'm going to highly advise them to do, and whether it's an SF only one or whether you do an RSOF one or a joint SOF one or whatever, the larger you do, the bigger the ship and the more amenities there are, the more balconies, the more, they have ships with ice skating rinks on them and slide
Yep.
type things and bigger, better pools and all kinds of go-kart.
They're crazy.
Yeah, just crazy.
But you imagine what the charter fee on one of those is?
Yeah. So you'd have to have the right amount of people to sign up for the bigger one. So the fact that we cracked this one, he would probably have to start like a pre-registration way in advance to have some kind of skin in the game. And then they have their initial deposit already ready up front, because our security deposit was 120,000 by itself.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and we used your pre-registration money for that as well.
Charlie was telling me a little bit of what you guys went through.
Oh yeah,
Obviously she was right in the middle of it,
Yeah, oh yeah. And bless her.
So,
oh, hey, George.
To say that everything was good. It was our first cruise, and it was our honeymoon cruise.
Oh wow!
We did our 100th day anniversary.
Right.
We were married in Columbia, South Carolina, where my wife has her brother, relatives in that.
Charleston.
June 29th. So we had a honeymoon then, but this was our honeymoon cruise. We'll try another cruise with everybody. We really enjoyed it. Yes, there were snags there, certain places, but overall we enjoyed it. And we're going to sign up for the next cruise that you have in 26, and then 25, we're going to try to make it to Las Vegas. for the annual meeting.
Thank y'all for everything. It was absolutely wonderful. It was such a pleasure meeting your lovely wife and so many people on there. It was just a wonderful experience, and the symposiums, we did not miss a one, I don't think. And so it was just wonderful, Pete. We thank you so much. I saw you on crutches and to and from, and just what a wonderful cruise you made happen with all your volunteers.
And you look like you could dance pretty good with
Yeah.
one of those crutches.
Oh yeah.
I can dance much better without it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And you got a sweet wife. It was wonderful seeing her and meeting her.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, she keeps me on my
George, were you in fifth group? Is that the
I was in
Vegas?
and then 46 company.
Okay.
Had the photo I've got is all five of us. Well, I think there were like 13 or 14. I looked down, I thought, so my photograph, I was in seventh group and also 46 company, which really was Special Forces Thailand, which was 3rd Battalion of the 1st Special Forces Group. So
I ran across some of you guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
George, that picture was rather quick up there that day.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, up on deck 15.
Yep.
Right. And what a wonderful thing to see the authors and the books presented. I mean, it was an exciting and informational and eye-opening experience for all of them.
Pete, I have a suggestion if we're on a cruise ship again, that we designate and have a flag raising and flag lowering ceremony.
I like that.
We agree.
Yes.
We had,
I'll second that.
I happened to be up on the upper deck one evening when the crew came to take down the flag, and another gentleman and I basically took it down and folded it, and a lady got a picture of it. It's probably going to be nationally publicized, I think.
Nice. Oh, very cool. I wish I wouldn't have missed that. Yeah.
Well, it was just happenstance. We just both happened to be up on deck 15, the upper deck, when she was taking it down, and she literally was going to just wad it up and throw it in the sack.
Wow. I love that idea. I got that down here. No, all these ideas are awesome. It's just going to make the next event even better. I spent a lot of time polling people, thinking outside the box of things that people would enjoy. I went back through 6 years of reunions, the six most recent that I could get my hands on, their AARs and what people liked and what didn't like, what had the most attendance at the event, to try to ensure that those kind of things were incorporated for it. So yeah, if you guys think of anything, feel free to email me. I have a whole bunch of emails of other comments people have made that it's gonna be fun kind of tying this all in together into one document. But yeah, overall, everyone had a wonderful time. And I don't know if some of you got here after Kevin Harry left earlier tonight, is that even if SFLI loses money, say $10,000 or we're 20,000 short or something like that in the end, which I don't think we're going to be, but if we were, that it was still a success. What people got out of it was worth the donors donating to make an event like that happen. And it was amazing. Carnival says the fastest they've ever seen a charter ship sell out. And that's why she did the extra care to come down. And, we were going to bring the President Trump down. We were going to bring Governor DeSantis down. We had all kinds of wazoo, other crazy ideas too. But the timing, how small that area is, Houston would be a lot easier for that. In Galveston, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, LA, Baltimore. There's a lot of other cities that would be easier to do something bigger like that. Tampa's just, it's so condensed and so small, and they just had the hurricanes, and it was just kind of too hard in the do. And I got mixed signals about the mayor in Tampa. Some people are like, no, we don't want her to come. I'm like, okay, we won't do that.
Well, we're talking about good things. I got to mention that I really enjoyed that briefing on Friday morning.
Which one is that? The Friday morning. Oh,
Yeah,
the Gospel Express, Scott Mann.
SOCOM.
Oh, the SOCOM one, the first morning.
Yeah, the first morning, yes.
Yeah, that was very good.
General was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's an opportunity. I was surprised our numbers were as low as they were, because that's not an opportunity to get to see and do every day. So
No, that's why I was very fortunate that I got into it.
yeah. So no, typically, I invited SOCOM, USASOC, and Yusuf. I invited all of them to come. I try to talk all of them into going to minimum manning to allow their folks, every unit has their, like Legion Week and their what's the first group called theirs? Anyway, they all have their week where they kind of shut down operations, and they have sports competitions and a dining in or a dining out, a ball type event. Remember the Fallen, and every unit does that kind of thing. And I was hoping when we told them over a year out when this event was going to take place. Oh, here comes my lovely wife. There, it's the cruise. It's everyone on the cruise. They said,
Hi, lovely wife.
"Hey, you're disappeared. You gotta come lower."
Oh.
Yeah, turn off the background.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh yeah, we do go to dinner. Yes.
We're doing Hell's Kitchen tonight.
Okay. So anyway, yeah. Any last parting comments? Oh, okay. Hold
No,
on.
great job, Pete, and looking forward to working with you in the future.
Yes, I'm over.
Yeah, Pete, I was involved in the 2015 convention here in Portland, which was very successful, and it took a lot of work, and I admired the. I mean, I personally I was the treasurer, and it was a lot of work, and I know how much work you did, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm debating whether to sign up to be a host in Hawaii in between ones, because I think Hawaii would be a great location. We haven't done one here since 1978. It's just, how many people come, because I'd have to do some magic with the contracts because they had a lot of cancellations the year we were going to do one out here. So that's why I volunteered to do it on the cruise, because I didn't have to worry about cancellations of hotels and all of that.
It was a great idea.
Yep. All right, guys.
It was.
Well, thanks for attending and helping out. Anyone else have last parting comments? Thanks, Greg.
No. Wonderful. You take that wife to dinner and y'all enjoy.
All right. Will do.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Don't be a stranger. Reach out anytime.
Okay. Take it easy, guys.
Thanks again, Pete.
All right.
Excellent job, Pete.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right. Take care, guys.
Excellent.